Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to another African Cup of Nations video, where today we're going to be talking about what to expect from Ivory Coast as hosts of Afcon 2024. Now of course, as the competition is only a few months away, from this point on, every single weekend you can expect me to talk about at least one Afcon team. And of course I thought, what better way to start than the host of the competition, Ivory Coast. Also known as Cote, also known as, well, just like me after Christmas, the Elephants.
Funny because he's fat.
We're going to be talking about the team as a whole, what to expect from them heading into this competition, their past record at Afcon, and ultimately what their best team heading into the competition could be. Of course, if that sounds good to you, if you do enjoy African football, or if you're brand new to it, don't forget to subscribe down below as it does help the channel grow. But obviously looking at Ivory Coast, as we know, a phenomenal African team in football, winning 2 Afcons in the past, the most recent one being in 2015, and having some absolute legends of the game, whether it be the Toure brothers or whether it be Didier Drogba. But in the last few years, things haven't quite been as good for them. I mean, in the last 3 Afcon competitions, they've got an 11th place, 5th place and 10th place. So obviously hosting the competition, you would expect a lot better. Looking at them in qualifiers, obviously they all have 1 game left to go. But so far in qualifiers, they've lost to Zambia, but they've also won to Zambia. They've beaten Comoros Islands on both occasions. And versus Lesotho, they did get a draw and they do have 1 game remaining. And although even if they weren't hosts, they would have qualified already at this stage, I can definitely say that there are improvements to be made. 8 goals, 4 and 5 against, that's not the worst record out there, but for this Ivory Coast national team, considering the players they have in their squad, I do expect a lot better, and I did expect them to win this group.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
So the fact that in their previous game they lost 3-0 to Zambia, and let me just say there were some dodgy goals there. I'm pretty sure the goalkeeper went for a 3-pointer in basketball with that own goal. Once again, not the best performance from them, and I do think things need to change a tiny bit. But of course the big question is, how do they do that? Well, of course, heading into the 2024 Afcon, I do think a 4-3-3 formation is the best suited for them. They do have the right players in their midfield to kind of dominate play and to kind of start counter-attacking play. I think Ivory Coast might have the best midfield in Africa if they play the right system. Along with that, they do use wide attacking play with their fullbacks and their wingers, and they do kind of play a style of play where they cross into the box to a main target man to score the goals. We saw that in that 3-0 win or that 3-1 win over Comoros Islands, where they really utilized their attacking wide style of play. But of course, in terms of the individual names that need to go in there, as a goalkeeper, once again, there were 1 or 2 options, but I've gone for Ibrahim Sangaré, who, yes, has had his problems in the past, like all of us. He has made his mistakes, but at the end of the day, even at 37 years old, I do think he is Ivory Coast's best option, getting 10 clean sheets in 20 games in the South African Premier League and saving 50% of all penalties saved.
You shall not pass!
Along with that, once again, 29 appearances for Ivory Coast and playing 2 Afcons in the past. I do think even at 37 years old, his experience would be so vital to Ivory Coast, and he probably is the best option out there. Now, of course, heading into the back 4, looking at our 2 fullbacks, I've gone for the likes of Conan and Aurier. As we know, Aurier is a player with lots of experience, once again a true leader in this Ivory Coast team, although you could have gone for Sengu, who is playing for Torino in Italy at the moment. Looking at Aurier, once again his experience is so vital to Ivory Coast. As we know, he's a very physical player, he's played many years of Premier League football, although I will say once again a very dodgy own goal for him for Ivory Coast versus Zambia. Once again an absolute true athlete, and once again, as I said, in terms of wide attacking play, as a fullback, once again, I think he does the job perfectly. As I said, as a left back, I've gone for the likes of Conan, who is currently playing in Saudi Arabia, the same team as Cristiano Ronaldo with Al Nassr. Once again, looking at him overall, playing 27 appearances for Al Nassr this season. In terms of his appearances, I think he was absolutely brilliant versus the Comoros Islands. And once again, as I said, perfectly utilized as a wide attacking fullback. At the end of the day, looking at some statistics, 89% passing accuracy throughout the last year, 60% tackle accuracy, 36 chance created. Once again, as a fullback, he is so complete in terms of both defensive and attacking ability. Now, heading into our 2 centre-backs, once again, 2 very solid centre-backs with Kusono and Eric Bailey. I mean, as a Manchester United fan, I can say this. Eric Bailly is so frustrating in terms of the injuries he's conceded, because if he didn't get injured as often as he would, I think he could be one of the best in the Premier League.
What did he say?
As an athlete, he is so complete. He's got the physicality, he's got a lot of pace on him. Yes, once again, another player who made a mistake versus Zambia, but at the end of the day, when Eric Bailly is fit, he is the best defender for the Ivory Coast. As I said, from physicality to pace, he has got it all. Was on loan at Marseille this season, once again did pick up an injury here or there, didn't get as many appearances as I would have liked, but at the end of the day, super solid for Ivory Coast, and was part of that 2015 Afcon winning team. As I said, Kusunu would be the other centre-back who at 22 years old could be the future of the defence for this Ivory Coast national team. Looking at him overall, as I said, 22 years old, played 51 appearances overall for Leverkusen over the last 2 years, which at 22 years old, to play in a European giant like that on such a regular basis is so, well, as I said, impressive. He has been top Sobers centre-back partnership for them. Once again, I really like that African centre-back partnership for them. Looking at him overall, obviously almost won a European trophy with them as well. 67% passing accuracy over the last year, 54 clearances. He is an absolute man-mountain, and as a centre-back, using his long limbs, really does get in the way and has got some brilliant judgment. As I said, putting Kosono next to Eric Bailly, it is a dream come true. But of course, now heading into the midfield trio, which this might be my favourite part about the Elephants. Look at them. I've gone for the likes of Kessie, Sangaré, and I think it's Seko Fafana.
It's beautiful.
Now, once again, that midfield trio is something to drool over. Looking at Sangaré as a defensive midfielder, I've said on many occasions, if he was English, he would be considered better than Declan Rice.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Which I understand is a big claim, but at 25 years old, he is 6'3", got 5 goals and 1 assist for PSV in the Eredivisie this season. Once again, some very good numbers for a defensive midfielder. But also, what a brilliant goal for him versus Comoros Islands, a very crucial goal. Looking at his attacking numbers, 25 chances created. Defensively, 47 clearances and 22 interceptions in the league. He is such a complete midfielder. Defensive ability can do it all. Attacking ability can do it all. And really does show up in the big games. And as I said, if you put him next to Fafana and Kessie, what a midfield trio. Obviously, looking at Kessie, you don't have to describe him too much. At 26 years old, already 63 appearances for Ivory Coast, has won a Serie A title and a La Liga title, and got a crucial goal in the El Clasico versus Real Madrid. Kessie may be the best player in this midfield trio. Once again, not the kind of player I really have to advertise to you guys. You don't have to advertise a Ferrari to know how good it is. Obviously, the last midfielder, I've gone for Seko Fafana, who for Lens in the French league this season, absolutely brilliant. And I think in terms of attacking ability, will be the best in this trio. 7 goals and 5 assists in the league this season, getting 3 and 8 for Ivory Coast so far, which considering he's gotten 3 and 8, I'm surprised he hasn't played more for the Ivory Coast. Looking at him overall, he did captain Lens this season to their highest ever finish in the league since 2002. Once again, this is a midfield that is full of some brilliant leaders. I think all 3 of them are brilliant leaders. A lot of physicality, a lot of pace, and really distributed in terms of the ability overall. Now, heading into that attacking trio, once again, that can almost be the most fun part of any team. Who's going to score the goals? And I think looking at the left winger, I've gone for Jean-Philippe Crusoe. On the right wing, I've gone for Amad Diallo. And as a striker, who else but Sébastien Haller? Now, of course, starting off on that left wing side, Jean-Philippe Crusoe is a very interesting player to look at. I will say myself, although I really want Wilfried Zaha to be the man for Ivory Coast, I just personally don't think he's been that good for them over the last few years. I don't think his numbers are that good. I never think he really shines for Ivory Coast. I know you could go for Maxwell Cornet as well, but looking at Crusoe, what a season for him. Yes, he did play for Saint-Etienne in only the 2nd division of French football, but 17 goals and 12 assists, absolutely brilliant. Obviously made his debut in 2022 for Ivory Coast, but has been brilliant ever since. Just moved to the likes of Red Star Belgrade in the Serbian league. I do think he is the best player out there. I do think in terms of attacking ability, I do think of getting goals and assists, he is Ivory Coast's best option. If you want a player who's going to get those crosses into Sébastien Haller, once again, he's your man. Now, as I said, on the right wing side, I've gone for Amad Diallo. Once again, I'm a Manchester United fan. I can say that I'm very disappointed that we haven't given him more game time, because in the Championship last season, obviously getting 14 goals, very impressive. But even for Rangers, with very limited time in the season before on loan, 3 goals in 10 games is not a bad output. And he's shown for Ivory Coast in the past before how brilliant his set-piece play can be, with the 97th minute winner versus Burkina Faso. Once again, Amad Diallo is a generational talent, and at only 20 years old, could be the future of Ivory Coast. Which, as I said, that leaves our last player with Sébastien Haller, and need I say more? Obviously beats cancer last year, absolutely remarkable for him, but 9 goals in 19 Bundesliga games, despite the fact that he couldn't play football for like 6 months. On top of that, the season before got 21 goals in 31 games for Ajax, including 11 goals in 8 Champions League games. Sébastien Haller is an absolute monster, and I'm so glad he changed nationalities from French to Ivorian. As a striker, he's tall, he's physical, he's fast, he knows when to get to the right spaces, and if he can make those very important target man runs, or the likes of Cross and Diallo cross balls into the box, once again, this Ivory Coast national team would be absolutely sorted. I understand that football's not just a game of putting big names in different positions, but I do think, looking at this Ivory Coast national team, there is a big name in every position. As I said, I'd love for players like Wilfried Zaha to really step up to the plate, but I just think that there are better options out there. Same as Maxwell Cornet, I would love to put him in there. I thought he was brilliant when he played for Burnley, but a very underrated, or very underwhelming season, should I say, at West Ham this season. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below, how well do you think Ivory Coast will do as hosts of Afcon 2024? As I said, an absolutely brilliant team, and I do think they are one of the favourites to win it overall. Hopefully it is better than the last 3 Afcon competitions, but guys, I hope that you did enjoy. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Finn, FYNN, bye.